Hey everybody, Matthew Sanchez here. And let me tell you, when I got the call that Delante wanted to put together this panel discussion full of men to discuss the issues here in our community, immediately I said yes. Let me tell you why. Because I believe that the time to do something is now. Like, we must no longer wait on anybody to do something we have the power to do ourselves. We must no longer wait. Now, it's one thing to watch this, and it's another thing to watch it and really soak it in, right? So the intention that Delante and I want you to walk away with is this. What can I do today that will impact tomorrow? What can I, meaning you, do today that will impact tomorrow? I really believe that in order to create change, you've got to create the conversation before you start. So enjoy this barbershop talk brought to you by Studio X and MSW Productions. God bless you. As you can see, there is a chair here dedicated to our brother, Sherman. Sherman was a good man. Dr. King said, he said, not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined on the act of service that you give to your community. And we thank God that he gave us Sherman in the time that he was here. So give it up for that man, please.
I'm very grateful to be here. My name is Marty Skinny Averett. I'm oftentimes reminded that we're planting seeds to shade trees that we may never get the chance to sit under. And that's why I believe that this conversation is important. That's why I believe that the work that we do is important, because it's not about us at the end of the day. It's about our children, that we are making sure that we are raising them in a world that's more safer, in a world that's more secure, and in a world that's more stable than the world that we currently have today. And like so many people, I was honored to have Sherman Peebles as a person who was a part of my village. And I'm glad that under this barbershop talk that we're here to celebrate his life and also talk about a lot of the issues that were important to his heart as well. So thank you again for having me.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gavin Henry. Mostly go by Gavo, just plain and short. Work at Davis Broadcasting, Assistant Production Director. I'm also a podcaster. I met Delante a few years ago on a random day at Advanced Auto Parts, and we've been connected ever since. Mr. Sherman Peebles, he was definitely a part of my village. Called me nephew. I called him unc. One of the first people, along with Mr. Riley over there, one of the first people that I actually asked, how do you know if you're actually ready to take that step in marriage? You know what I'm saying? I put thought and effort into let me speak to these two men, specifically. So it's sad, but his spirit, it flows through each and every one of us every day. You know what I'm saying? And he was like an infectious person. You couldn't walk by him, you couldn't ignore him, and he was going to be straight with you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I always appreciated. But I'm glad I'm able to be here. I've actually been in Columbus. This will be my 10th year in Columbus. I came to Columbus by way of Columbus State. And through there, I began to work throughout the community, mentoring in different schools. I've probably been in every predominantly black high school and elementary school in the city of Columbus. So I see the grassroots, and I see the older side as far as my generation, my demographic. But there's a lot of change that's necessary. And one thing specifically, we speaking on the violence and whatnot. I produce the news every morning for all the radio stations that I work for. So I'm hearing everything that takes place over the weekend, everything that took place over the night. So I have to process it and then put it out into the atmosphere. So the change is necessary. So this conversation, I'm sure, is going to break some ground. Thank you, and I thank you for the invite, Delonte.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here. If anybody want to connect with me, trust me. All you gotta do is just say hello.
Hey, what's up? My name is Jarvis Hamilton. You gotta call me J-Bo. You got to. I'm the owner of Just Breathe Relationship and Life Coaching, located on Macon Road. I got involved in coaching just to help with communication. They say we don't know how to communicate, so I got involved there just for that reason. Me and Sherman, he was one of my best friends. He was in my wedding. And he said you couldn't ignore him. I mean, I tried to ignore him plenty of time. He wasn't gonna let you. But it's perfect. He's sitting in there because if he was here, he would definitely be in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just glad to be here. And thank you for bringing it up to me. Yeah.
I'm Delonte Tatella, owner of Studio X 1 and 2, local photographer in the city, activist, how you want to call it. I'm just excited to put this together. I'm excited to be here, excited to have a group of men and women that showed up to talk about some real life issues in the community. About 2 weeks ago, a little kid, 14 years old, got shot outside of my shop right on here. And it's just, enough is enough, you know what I'm saying? We can't stop everything in the city. But at the end of the day, we can make a little small change. We can at least talk about it and address some real life issues. So I'm glad I came up with the idea to kind of put this together for the city. I remember 3 years ago, we did 100 men in suits. It was crazy. 465 men showed up downtown Columbus, Georgia. And we marched for change. And I think that left
Black and white, may I say.
Yes, it was crazy. Yes. But anyways, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm excited. I'm glad you guys showed up.
Hello, my name is Gerald Riley. I work at Overflow Salon and Barbershop. I'm excited to be here on the board with all these amazing gentlemen. I think I know everybody here personally that's on the board. And, you know, I'm just thankful that I was invited to sit here and to have this discussion with everyone here. Sherman Peoples was my best friend. He was more like a brother. Him and I worked together at Overflow for 24 years. He was my right-hand man, my sidekick. And I tell people, we didn't always agree on everything, but at the end of the day, when we left the shop, we both told each other, I love you, brother. I love you, brother. And I'm just excited to be here today, I think.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel Martin, but everybody calls me Easy. I am a barber. I run a barbershop inside of Walmart. It's called Cleopatra Beauty. I am a boxing coach, and I did help just open up a boxing gym on Buena Vista Road. Just trying to impact on changing the community. Delonte hit me up because most of my videos that I make in the morning is called Grind Mode in Effect. You slipping, wake up to get that cake up. It's just a positive message every morning or every day that I do. Just to get people out of the funk that they're living in, or just realize that your life is not as bad as you think it is. I know him from the opposite side of the track of everybody else. Me, I'm one of the statistics that beat the statistics. You know, being incarcerated 2 times, doing 2 different prison bids. So I met him because he always tried to keep me out of trouble every time he saw me. So I'm just happy to be here. So try to help make change.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm attorney Teddy Reese. It's truly an honor to be here. As Delonte opened with, every time I'm at a barbershop, I feel at home. Most black men, we know the importance of barbershops. Even as little boys coming in, hearing the conversation of the community, that's where most of the flow in the community would come from, information-wise, organizing. That's why I agreed to be here tonight, because I think it's important that we share the critical information in our community. Now, before I go too far, let me just stop for a second to recognize our brother. I mean, everybody here has talked about thus far, Pastor Bishop, you laughed, but everybody here has talked about how he's touched them. Sherman and his beautiful wife, Shavonda, would join my wife and I at events. We would call and check on each other. We would support each other. You just never know who knows who and how someone has impacted your life. And the things that they can do for you that can just change the trajectory of your day. Just make you feel different. And every time I walked into Overflow to see Sherman and Riley, to me, Gerald and Sherman were like, they were just like those two big brothers. You know, they were going to be there, and Sherman was with us at the last Black Men barbershop conversation we had called Black Men Speak, in which I actually hosted that with Lucas Melton and the Fair Count, as well as the Southwest Georgia Project. And he had some valuable things to say there. So I can just imagine, I can't wait to see what's going to come out through us that's coming from our brother who's up in heaven right now looking down on us. Because we know he's doing some special things even in life as we speak. And with that, brothers, I'm looking forward to the dialogue. None of us know everything. None of us have all the answers. It's going to require all of us on all levels to work together. Give you an example. I probably can't out OG anybody in this room.
Not OG.
I can't out OG anybody in this room. And I'm not going to try. But guess what I can do? I can get with the OGs and find the resources that we need to bring to our community.
Yes, sir.
We can help organize when it comes to selecting those who's supposed to be representing us, but sit there at those city council meetings and those school board meetings and vote for things that are against us. Those are the real conversations we got to be having, brothers. That's where the collaboration and coordination and actually the production comes in. That's how we change our community. And I think it has the potential to start here today. Delante, you know, I was with you with those 400 and something guys that walked down Broadway in those suits that day, and that was a beautiful sight. But we got to use that same energy to mobilize for good brothers that we know when they're around here trying to fight for change in our community. Yes, we can do things for ourselves, but however, when you have resources that we all pay into, you pay an occupational tax to be right here in this building.
Absolutely.
Why can't we determine where some of your tax money go? I pay a high property tax. I like to have a say-so on where my money is going. So don't totally take your hands out of government, but let's do everything we can from every angle to make what needs to happen for our community happen. And pass it to you, Bishop.
Well, my name is Bishop Franklin Porterfield. I'm Chief Apostle of the Kingdom Power Community Church, actually with Kingdom Power Fellowship. It's an honor that I'm able to be here today along with the rest of the gentlemen and ladies, and along with Lady Peoples over there. God bless you. When Delante first mentioned to me in reference to the barbershop talk, my thing was I used to be a former barber. So back in the day, some of y'all know about Talk of the Town. That goes way back, probably about 28 years, something like that. On Buena Vista Road, yes. And but I'm totally excited that we as a people, I think we have some brilliant people in this room that's going to be able to identify certain things that's necessary to bring about a resolution. I believe that everyone in this room has their own experience that they may be able to interpret their view how we can make change. And let me pause for this, my brother Peoples here. I've been knowing Peoples for about 25 years. For a long time, he's been loyal to with Dr. Ann Hartman as one of her personal security, along with the board. But one thing about People is that he was always consistent. As a man, he was consistent and he loved his wife.
That's right. That's right.
When I met him, I think we were doing something with Peggy Jenkins or something down there.
Liberty.
And you and Gerald was over there singing.
Some
They
good
were
times,
singing.
wasn't it?
And I met the wife for the first time, I think, you know. And she had some health challenges at the time. And one thing that your husband said, and I think we prayed right there on the spot, and he says, Bishop, I believe God for my wife miracle.
Yes.
He was a man of faith. He was a man of belief. And I want to say to you, Lady Peoples, is that he'll forever live because you live. And because of the faith that he had. And, you know, it's something about when we say we love somebody, but are we willing to sacrifice our life for them? So I would say to Delante and to our host and to everyone that's here today, I'm very excited, but at the same time really ready to have some communications to bring about change. Not just to have a conversation, but then when we leave here, we will have the manifestation of the conversation. And thank you for this space.
So, Skinny, you ran for city council back in January 2016, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you did an interview with Kirsten King, and in that interview, you requoted a Dr. King quote that says, "Crime is the bride to poverty." Tell me what you meant by that.
Too oftentimes in our community, our politicians take on the issue of crime, but we don't take on the issue of poverty. One of the things, when I was in the 7th grade, I never grew up around animals, but my mother said that I could have 2 hamsters. I didn't know what you feed hamsters, so I got them started on this celery, carrot diet, and then some crackers, and so after about 3 or 4 days, I came back, and one hamster had ate the other hamster. I later had identified that they were actually rats. And what that forever taught me is that if you put people in a position where they don't have food, where they don't have resources, where they don't have the ability to take care of them and themselves, then at the end they'll begin to eat each other. And so I carried that with me for the longest. I believe that, there's nothing worse in our society than a man with no job, no education, no hope, and a pistol. That's a bad brother there. And so I think that it's time for us as a community not only to address the issue of why is crime so high, but how can we make sure that everybody has the financial means to succeed? Because if they don't have a job to take care of them and their families, then eventually they'll be shopping in your house like they at Target. Right. And they'll be taking your car and driving it. And so we want to make sure that people got everything that they need in their capacity to do for them and their families. Everybody want to eat a steak dinner at the end of the day. Nobody wants to eat ramen noodles every night. And if I'm looking in your window and every time I look over there, you got lobster tail and filet mignon, then eventually I'm going to want to have a piece. Right. And I'm going to knock on the door a few times. And once you don't answer a few times, then eventually I might go through a window. Right. But I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that my family is satisfied as well. So that's what I meant by crime is the bride of poverty. Right. Is that we have to find a way for these young brothers in the street to take care of them and themselves. And a lot of young people now have felonies on their record, and they cannot get jobs. And so what do? You go back to what you eventually know, which is probably what sent you to prison to get that felony in the first place. So we got to make sure that we're not just sending people to jail without rehabilitating them. But once it's time for them to get out, that we have the resources to make sure that they don't come again through that revolving door.
Yeah. Gavin, how did we get to that place where it is full of crime? It's almost like you can see the hope, but to get everybody together to see it like you see it is hard. So how did we get to that place as a community?
We need systems in place I'm gonna get to that, right? I'm gonna get to that. There's something that you said on the song that you just mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. There's something that's said on that song about how they don't want to listen to the prophets because the prophets don't ever come around. Mm-hmm. So, and I think about different time periods where we mentor or we go and speak, but we're not building no rapport. We're not building no relationships. Yeah. We don't see them for another 6, 8, maybe a year. You know what I'm saying? And what they thought was us attempting to care or starting the process to, for them to get an outlet, the door is closed. So I feel like we need actual systems in place as far as like real mentorship that's continuous. Because I've been in mentorship programs and there's a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? In certain places.
What do you mean by ceiling?
Ceiling meaning after a certain age, the program is over. Mm. Or sometimes things take place. You know, you never know what's going on. You might be a kid, or the people that was necessarily running the mentorship program wasn't necessarily either all in the right space, or they wasn't all in the right doing it for all the right reasons themselves. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we actually need legitimate systems for accountability.
Yeah.
You know,
Teddy, you said the same thing. You wrote a post on October 13th that said, yeah, it actually was a long post. I just got just a little bit from it. You said, we must honestly assess the shortcomings of our community and implement aggressive plans of action. Tell me what you meant by that.
Well, I think it's a combination of what you've already heard today from the two very knowledgeable brothers that spoke before me. Mm-hmm. As I told you today, no one person is going to have all the answers, but a combination of us can get that done. Mm-hmm. You know, when you talk about a community that is starving, that's crime-ridden, that's the economic outlook is absolutely deplorable, and you don't see your elected leaders trying to get jobs in here, trying to clean up our communities, trying to build sidewalks, things that matter for our children, trying to keep the recreational centers open, but you can see just a random vote where you're spending $15 million on a parking deck. You know, those type of things are very disturbing. But we don't have one answer to crime. The challenges we see in our community today, this is a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but it didn't happen last night. This is coming from years of neglect. This is coming from years of pulling resources out of the community that help sustain the community. Listen to the people talk about the recreational centers that used to be open here in the city and how we didn't officially close them. We just literally defunded them. You stop putting money in the budget or something, then it will close. That's where I talk about that political power. Everybody want to be mayor. You know, Mickey Mouse can be mayor. I don't care about that. It takes 6 votes on council to get anything done. You get control of city council, then you get control of the budget, and you get control of where the money is spent. Why you think these Republicans trying to change the voting laws now? Because they don't want us to vote. Why you think they changed the school board and the city council races from being partisan to nonpartisan? Because they didn't want you to know who you were voting for and what's their political ideology. Right now we have 6 Republicans that sit on city council. And this is a primarily Democratic county. And I'm just speaking facts, and who don't like it, I don't care. Because the facts are the facts. We have too many folks that sugarcoat things around here as it is already. We need truth tellers. We need transparency. We need people who are going to work. It's time out for the pageantry and things. I don't care about you waving at a chicken dinner at the Civic Center or the Trade Center. What I need to see is I need to see you on the streets. I need to see you out here talking to these kids that Gavin was just talking about. I need to see you out there working with those kids that Riley has sweeping at his barbershop in the sweepers program. I need you out there working with the kids that J-Bo putting books out in the barbershop for. Those are the type of things you need to know that's transpiring in my community. I don't need you just showing up to vote every week. You don't know what you're voting on. And I have said on Facebook before, and I'm surprised you didn't pull this poster out. The people that represent you needs to know you. If they don't know you, they can't vote for your interests. And it's as simple as that. And when you see people out there that are making a strive to try to represent you, we need to do everything we can to try to support them. Delonte, we need to get those 400 men out there in suits alone making road, waving signs when it's early vote. Yes, sir. Let's do that. That's how we can support. That's where you begin to see the real change. This is our community for the future. Right. We're raising our children here. I'm raising my daughter here. You're raising your children here, your sons and your daughters. What kind of Columbus are we going to leave them? In 20 years, when they say to us, Daddy, what were y'all doing when they was doing this and they were doing that? I'm not going to tell my daughter I was sitting on my hand. I want to say, baby, I was fighting. I didn't win every time. But damn it, I was out there fighting for you. Right. And every other child that I speak to and everybody else who I get in front of. And I don't care who like it. I don't care who thinks it's against what tradition here in this city. It doesn't matter. Tradition goes out the window when our community is in the condition that it's in. You can't claim tradition until things are where they should be.
Are you saying we're in denial?
We are past denial. Yeah. We are insane. You know the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We're at home praying. The Bible says prayer without works is dead. Yes, put the work in the street to get it done. And it says he will prepare the table before us. But we got to build the table first. At the end of the day, you still got to put the work in. I'm not the bishop right here. I'm just telling you what the word says. Right. So yes, we got to come up out of our positions and we got to say, I'm willing to try something different.
Right.
Maybe this ain't the year I go in there and vote for that incumbent.
Right.
Maybe this is the year where I give something else and somebody else a chance. Maybe we need to see some new faces.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to give some other people some opportunity because we know what we're getting now and we know what we're going to continue to get.
Right.
So when are we going to be willing to get something different? And we can't just wait on it, and we certainly can't ask for permission.
Right. Absolutely.
I think it was Dr. King who said too that nobody's just going to give you power. You got to go take it.
Right.
You got to go take it.
Right.
So we need to go take it.
Mr. Riley, what's your response to that, to what Teddy just said?
I agree with everything Teddy just said, and I would just like to add that it's in the military we used to do something called cover down, and basically cover down meaning that you're good. Easy might be good, right? But I'm still going to cover down for Easy when he missed something. So as a parent, all my kids are grown. All my kids are grown. But for me to cover down in Columbus, Georgia, your kid is still my responsibility.
That's right.
You know, you might be at work working, you know, everybody here at work, you might work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. My responsibility, my part in what Ted is talking about, my part is to cover down for you, to mentor your kid when you can't mentor your kid.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we get it confused as adults. We raise our kids once they become adults and they leave the house. No, we still have work to do in our community.
That's right, man.
All because Teddy Reese, as an attorney, all because Teddy Reese is good, that's no excuse. Teddy's still working in the community. You know, Jarvis, good, you know, he got everything going with his business and stuff. No, it's still no excuse. Jarvis is still covering down his community. And I think unless all of us get that attitude to cover down in the community, then we're going to miss the community.
Right.
Because something's happened to the village.
Insane. What do you think happened to the village tonight, Teddy?
Man, I think the village has been, it's just been affected. It's been affected by so many different things that's in the community. Because you look at it, you look at these cops out here, and you look at all these people, there's so much dirty stuff going on, man. And now kids think it's cool to just pick up a gun. They think it's cool, like people don't fight no more. Like, what happened to fight? You know what I'm saying? I remember I never forget my brother got beat up by a kid named Deshaun. I promise you, I ran in the house and I took cover. My mama sent me back out there and I got my butt whipped too. By the same dude. But they don't do that no more. They literally don't do that no more. These kids do not fight no more. They don't fight for change. So the community is really been infected. It's infected. It's infected by TV. Kids don't be outside no more on the bike. That's crazy. Kids don't ride bikes no more. Christmas Eve of this year, I ain't seen not one kid outside. Everybody was inside, taking cover playing video games.
But what parent want to send their child out there to play now when you have 12-years
That's
that's
true.
being shot in the back seat? When you
That's
have
true.
a 71-year-old
That's true.
woman trying to get home and straight bullets taking her life. That's somebody's grandmother.
That's true.
She was probably somebody's support base.
That's true.
You know, so you know, and you have some valid points. And I'm not snatching
No,
a point
no,
from
no.
you. I'm creating dialogue here. You know, it goes back to there are multiple things we need to work on at the same time. But I think we all agree that it's starting young.
Right.
So why aren't we asking our school board system, what are you doing to stop suspending so many of our children, perpetuating the school to prison pipeline?
Right.
You putting them out of school at an early age, they're not graduating with any type of high school diploma or degree. What do you think they're going to do, load a bus and move to New York?
Right.
No, they're right here in the community.
Right.
And those are the people that Marquise was talking about.
Right.
And they're our brothers, and we still need to help them.
Right.
And that
you
is
want to
true.
say something?
Yeah, I want to take it a little step farther than what Teddy took it. Is that I believe that we all have a role, that the school has a role, the government has a role, but too often times parents aren't playing their role. And when we look
And that's
around
true
our
right there.
community,
That's real.
we have a choice and we have a chance. And that choice and chance is very simple. Either we raise our children or we'll let the streets raise them. We have too many times, I can't stop thinking about the story of David and Goliath. Well, David used what he had to get what he wanted. And what he had was rocks just laying around. And too many times in our community, we have parents, rocks just laying around, not doing what they're supposed to do. Your child ain't got no job. He's showing up with new tennis shoes. He's showing up with money in his pocket.
Yeah,
you don't ask no questions.
Absolutely.
Rocks laying around. We've invested $400 million since 2008 in a local option sales tax, where 70% would go to public safety, 30% will go to infrastructure. We will promise 100 officers, 100 new officers. That was in 2008. 14 years later, we spent $400 million and we still lost short 100 officers. Rocks laying around. And so I think that it's our time to take what we got, to grab our rocks, and to actually utilize those rocks to tear down Goliath, which is people who are determined to destroy our community. And they're not winning our streets because they're so smart. They're not winning because they're some geniuses. They're winning by the margin of despair. They're winning because so many people have grown scared. They're winning by default. And it's time for us to take back our city, to pick up our rocks and our slingshot, and to finally do something to bring peace in our community.
Skinny, you said, I appreciate what you said, but one thing I'm having a hard time agreeing with you is
Let's talk about it, brother.
you said that the parents are not doing their wrong, but we have a system who makes sure that they break up a home. So what is your response to that?
Right.
I'm going to let you go in just a minute.
I think that's a wonderful question. I think that we as black people especially recognize that slavery for many of years destroyed the black home, where they would emasculate the man, where they would separate the man. And we also realized that in the late 60s and early 70s began the welfare program, where they actually paid women not to have a man in the home. We got to look at what happened in the 80s when crack cocaine was infiltrated into our communities by the CIA. And how many of our people not only were placed on drugs, but were also sent to this system of mass incarceration that's the new slavery. And so everybody in our system definitely has a part to play. But I'm someone that believes that there is no reforming the system, that we must burn the whole damn system down and recreate it again. But what I do realize is that parents have a particular role to play. And too often times, 80% of black homes are led by single women who don't have a father figure in their lives. And going back to something that Riley said, and I've known Riley all my life. I don't even know when I met him. You know what I'm saying? It's been that long ago.
Yeah.
But something he said was that what happened to the village?
Right.
We used to tell somebody, hey man, pull your pants up on your ass. Or man, don't make me come call your mama. You better not tell nobody to pull their pants up on their rump. They might cuss you out. Or the very thing you should be worried about is they don't pull out a little pistol and start shooting at you. Because somewhere along the line, we've lost respect for our elders. Somewhere along the line, we've lost respect for others. And we've started listening to too much rap music and believing that we got to be gremlins in order to be effective. But the people who survive and who thrive in this life are people that build long-lasting friendships, are people that build and nurture relationships, are people that do well by their community, are people that are willing to leave something behind. And so I'm not going to retract from that statement. I said exactly what I meant, that too often times our single-parent households aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing to hold their children accountable.
That's right. Pastor, what do you want to say?
So much has been said. Skinny, I want to agree wholeheartedly with you in reference to family. The black church has played a major role to get us through poverty, to get us through slavery, and to work in our community. The black church now, at some point, I consider to be a joke in some cases.
You said the black church?
I said the black.
Okay.
The black church. Because the black church was everything to the black family in the community. Whether you was in the club on a Friday or Saturday, you went to church on Sunday. There were certain principles that we had to live by, like being in the house before the light comes on. Like everybody has to come to the table and eat together. You're not going to come and live in my house and don't be at the table.
Without saying
the other thing is that you don't have grandmothers these days and grandfathers because you have babies raising babies. when you have somebody who's 15 years old that just had a baby, what do they know about raising a child? So there is some things that we have to do as a community to talk directly to families to begin with. That's one of the crime and the poverty things that are taking place, is because what are you going to tell a kid when he's smoking a blunt with his mother at the house?
Right.
What are you going to tell the boy that's drinking a beer with his father,
Right.
but won't go to school? So there are some things. Now, let me say this. My mother has 16 kids. I'm 14 out of 16 children. And I never called a man daddy in my life. But I had some deacons in the church. I had some older brothers. I had some people in the street that if they see me doing something in the street, Skinny, they can say something to me. I got a whipping on the corner, and by the time I got home, my mother got the message, and I got another whipping. So I'm very troubled by the fact that we don't start with us first, if I can say that. The second thing is this, attorney, you was on it. This is a systemic thing that we have done. Don't you know that we just became a nation that was able to vote just only 54 years ago or less? We're a black man, and right now there's documents on the table in Congress where they're trying to stop the vote. See, I think that we haven't done a good job educating our youth. What I mean by that, we have to go back to what we got control of, which is the schools. We got control of the schools, so why the schools don't have Black history programs that are taking place? Why they don't have curriculums where they have to teach ethics, where they have to teach certain things that's in place? And that goes back to what you were talking about. These dollars that are being spent somewhere else because we won't go and vote.
That's right.
No, we talk about it. We get mad. We get upset about what the white man got. No, what you got in your hand that's going to change somebody's mindset.
Right.
What you're doing with them boys, you're changing their mindset. If your mind don't change, you'll never change.
Man, that's it, bitch.
If your mind don't shift, you'll keep doing the same insanity things that we have. I was looking at something, if I can say this.
Go ahead,
I was looking at this, and it brings tears to my eyes when I see these young boys in Columbus trying to act like gangsters. That really don't know what poverty really is. Now, they got some poverty. See, what y'all call poverty down here ain't poverty. I'm from New York. That's why I can say that. I see some of the villages and some of the apartments there, and I know that you have some kids that really deal with some poverty.
Right.
But their poverty is not the poverty that I came up under.
That's it, bitch.
The poverty that I came under, we had a rat called Ben. And Ben would eat half a pound of doggone sugar. And he had a whole family downstairs waiting to bring up the stairs. And roaches would be crawling everywhere. And when you walk out the door, never mind around the block, but when you walk out the door, you got to duck. Or when you waiting to go around the corner, you have to worry about if you're going to get stuck up when you come out. See, I think that they watch too much TV. They look at these rappers. These rappers are fraud. They're fake. How do I know? I know a lot of them. Trust me, I can call them 6'9", a lot of them. And it's all rental stuff. They go rent this stuff and they give them some force of identity that this is what it really is. But the truth of the matter, bro, you know what the truth of the matter is that I learned? Is that you can play hard all you want. But your boy ain't putting nothing on your books. Ain't nobody coming to see you. And you're going to be crying for mama because you're a real punk. You know, so I say what you say, yeah, we have some crisis. that we have in our state and in our city. But the question is, who's going to stop faking it until they make it?
Right.
I got one more statement. I might be talking too much. I'll shut up. I got one statement. I was a little down a little bit, and I asked God a question in reference to truth. And you talked about truth. And God, I looked up truth, and truth was defined as being a state or the present reality. That's right. So I asked God a question. I said, God, why do people lie?
For none.
No, they don't want to face their reality.
That's it, bitch.
See, that's why we got trouble, T. That's why we need to really stir up so we can face the reality of what's really happening in our government. We need people like you that's going to talk up, that ain't scared to tell folks the truth. See, that's the problem. We done lived a lie for so long that we done accept a lie as being the truth. That's that insanity piece that we looking at. So if it sounds like I'm passionate, because I am, because I do feed the homeless. Right. We do get out there and talk to them kids with guns. And let me say this, they people that want these grants, they fake, they're not from the street. Don't send nobody out in the street if you can't go yourself. Because fake, no fake.
That's right.
And real, no real. That's right. A kid come out there, I don't care what he got right now. He got an Uzi or Mac, I can look him in his eyeballs and I can tell him, son, what are you doing? Yeah. But we're trying to talk to them and we don't know them. No. And don't care to know them. Right. And guess what? And they telling you the hell too. Mm-hmm. Straight up. Mm-hmm. Just like that. So I know I was trying to really sit. But the key is that what you said, faith without works is dead. That's right. We have to do something. It starts in everybody's home. Mm-hmm. Everybody got a responsibility to cover. That's right. But you got to start in your own house. That's it, right.
Mr. Martin,
we can almost go home now.
Can I reply to that?
Go ahead. Keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. I just want to add, man, you got down there.
Yes, he did.
But I think that not only that, but I think that the church also has a special responsibility in our today's society. Yeah. We literally have a church on every corner. Yeah, absolutely. And so if the churches would just take care of their little corner, if they would just do what's needed for the communities that surround their own church.
With some leadership I've seen from
well,
some of these
right.
pastors, I don't know if I'm
they stood in the club.
Everybody comes on some folks lost their card.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. But I would also add that what Teddy said, that it's time, too many times our pastors are preaching from the four walls of the church and they ain't been out there in the streets.
Can I talk as a pastor?
Go ahead. That's
okay, because I'm a pastor.
Let's talk.
And not only am I a pastor, I'm a pastor too.
Come on now. Come on.
Now, let me just lay it on the line with the issue is, Brother Skinny. Half of these Negroes ain't been caught.
Come on now, Bishop.
They ain't never served nobody.
There we go.
They have not learned to submit to anybody.
Come on, Bishop.
They think this is glamorous. I've been in ministry, Teddy, for close to 38 years.
Wow. Come on, Bishop.
And never took a salary. Wow. I'm not driving because the church bought me a Benz. I bought my own Benz.
He did.
My wife drives a Range Rover not because the church bought me.
Come on now.
Because I'm smart. And I know how to make money. This is the point what I'm making you, Skinny, is that some folk don't want to come to church because when they get to church, they see the same folk in the club.
Oh, absolutely.
My point is there's no integrity. I'm not saying all churches. I'm not coming against all preachers. But doggone it, if the shoe fit, wear it.
Absolutely. Right.
You understand? You want people to invest in something called the kingdom. Yeah. And you're not a good steward of what God has. You haven't taught them entrepreneurial skills. Mm-hmm. Everybody in my church, 75% to 85% are entrepreneurs. Because we teach business. They don't even know that your name is a business. Mm-hmm. Get you an EIN number. Have an idea. Mm-hmm. And learn the business of entrepreneurship.
Right.
And don't wait for somebody to give you something that you can get yourself.
Absolutely.
But I will concur to you. Some of these pastors need to sit down.
Oh, I'm 1,000%.
You know, and I'm not judging against the church. This is not a church thing.
Right.
This is a kingdom thing.
Right. But see, we also, this same talk we're having here in this moment about what pastors in the city need to do, we need to also share these thoughts with them, that they need to go and sit down somewhere. And so it's good that we're having it amongst ourselves, but if somebody's not going out and telling them that you know, you're not representing the interests of the community, that, you know, when things hit the fan, that you're on the opposition side, that you can easily be bought with a check. And that's one of the problems in Columbus. And so I absolutely agree with you that a lot of people in the church aren't called to the ministry and aren't doing God's business. And at the same time, I would argue that that's why the church is steadily dying at this moment.
Can I say this again in defense of the church? The church ain't gonna never die because Jesus lived forever.
Amen.
Now,
Well, that sounds good.
No, not sounding good because I'm telling you what I know. Because I've been doing this for 38 years.
Well, we ought to
But
just see how many churches have failed since the pandemic. There are churches that were existing before the pandemic that would never come back.
how about this? That's a reality. There's some people that ain't surviving, ain't never coming back either. Remember, they be churches or businesses because they've been affected economically. They've been affected more than this one way. See, this is like how, if I can make it plain, right? If you go to the doctor and you get a bad doctor, do you stop going to the doctor when you sick?
No.
You find another doctor.
Right.
No, listen to what I'm saying, Dr. Skinny. You look like the doctor over there.
Well, I
right?
appreciate
Now,
that.
but the point that I want to make is this, right? There are people that are doing a lot of good jobs in the church.
That's right.
You cannot say that's not a true fact.
Right.
Now, you got people like Sherman, right? Sherman, he really bringing a lot of pastors together. He's a saved man. And he's really, now somebody might not like him, but I like him because he's integral.
Who are you referring to?
To our Sherman.
Okay.
Countryman is one I've been invited. That's someone that really want to talk about issues. He had left the floor open many a times, and folk didn't show up. Now I'm talking about what I know, and I don't care about the political plug or nothing like that. I've been knowing Skip Smith when he was just a little councilman. I helped him years ago, even through the whole council piece. I don't say a lot, but that don't mean I don't know a lot. So, but the point what I'm making to you, Skinny, is this. It takes all of us.
Absolutely.
It takes, because you're going to have some bad with everything. But it comes back to us starting with the foundation of things. If you don't have a strong foundation, you're not going to be able to build.
Right.
Some of the things that we are doing, we can talk about it, but when we leave here, you know, I can't even wait to get back to church, to be honest with you. I've been out for about a month. But this is my reality. If your mind is changed, then you will change.
Right. So can you both agree that there needs to be some accountability in the church, correct?
Correct.
Correct? There needs to be some accountability, right?
I absolutely agree with that.
Okay, right. Great. Mr. Martin. We don't want this to be, you know, we want to stay on task. Mr. Martin, I got a chance to really study you. And one thing I admire about you is that how great of a father you are, right? To J-Man, right? And you said being a father is one of God's best gifts I could ever have. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because having a father in the home is very important. And you have not always been there for J-Man, but now that you are, it speaks volumes to him. Can you elaborate on what it means to be a father in the home and why we don't have enough fathers in the home?
All right. So when I start talking, I'm going to get offended.
Oh, no.
J-Man's not my oldest son.
Okay, right.
I got a 20-year-old. I'm a grandfather now.
Oh,
You know
congratulations.
what I'm saying?
Congratulations.
Good, boy.
You have a daughter too, right?
I got a daughter
Right,
that's 15.
right,
My daughter's 16. It's good to have a father and the foundation of the home. But it doesn't matter if you don't have another piece to it, to a mother that actually backs him up for his decision that he made. Yeah, he might be the household, he might be that guy of the household, but at the same time, like you said, you need to have a foundation for that structure. If you ain't got structure, everything will crumble. See what I'm saying? How many of y'all here from Columbus? Anybody on this panel? On the panel? Y'all from Columbus? What side of town you from?
East Columbus.
What side of town you from?
South Side.
What part?
OP.
Same where I'm from. I'm really from Community Apartments.
OP.
I say all that to say this. We can have all kind of money put on the south side of town.
Right.
If we don't change our structure inside of our neighborhoods, you can put anything you want to. Oh, it's not going to build anything because we don't want to tear it down. We do that. My older generation, the older generation, is telling the kids that's inside the home, decide to go get that pack, decide to go pick up that pistol, decide to go out here and sell that. So why? Because the music that we portray.
It's the music.
It's hard to be a father in the black community. It's hard being a father, period. No matter what race you are. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But being a father is more than just, I got kids, I'm going to raise them, we're going to play games, we're going to do this. I got to show them what it is to be an upstanding individual, a good human being.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you're male or female, whatever you want to call yourself. You got to be a good, upstanding human being. And it's a lot that you got to deal with. It's a lot that comes along with it. You know, and from where I look at it as, it doesn't matter what you put on the South, what you put on the East.
Right.
How much money you got in the politics, how many people in the church, how many people that's come support your campaign. It don't matter about none of that. Because at the end of the day, we got to have some type of foundation for it. You keep saying about the taxes and we ain't got enough money over here, we got enough money over there. We the ones that destroyed it. Every community center that we didn't have on the South Side, we tore down. We put graffiti up. We turned it to the trap house. We can't have a club in Columbus on the East Side or the South Side. Why? We shoot them up. Every club we didn't have, we shot them up. Barbecues we had with our family. Brothers is fighting brothers. Why? Because we promote the violence. We promote the trauma. We promote it. That's what sells. That's what gets our money. That's what gets into the black community's mindset. I can't keep going on with that. Well, the condition we was raised in, because ain't nobody tell me, I'm 36 years old, ain't nobody tell me to go pick up that gun, sell that dope.
Well, you just said the music taught you.
The music didn't teach me. What taught me, before you cut me off, what taught me was this, I didn't want to get talked about when I went to school because the guy that got that's next to me, his parents couldn't afford them Jordans. My parents couldn't. So why? What I want to do, I didn't want to get talked about, so I wanted to start selling dope. Not because we couldn't afford the lights on once a month. Not because we had to eat spaghetti 4 times out the week. It's because I didn't want to get talked about.
Right.
We teach our kids, we push $200 pair of Jordans on. We put 30-inch weaves in our daughter's hair. We put them on these Snapchats and all these filters that they wear. So this is what you're supposed to look like. This is what you're supposed to look like. This is what you're supposed to do. Look at these Jordans. You ain't got even Jordans. I seen a girl get beat up, drug in the water, because she was talking about a girl with nappy hair that didn't have new KDs on, but she got beat up after that fact, though. This is what we teach our kids. The older generation, we do that. You see what I'm saying? You want change? We got to have that change. And being a statistic, I'm a big product of it. I'm a big product. I went on 16 job interviews, 20 different applications in 2010 when I got out from doing my first bid. I couldn't get a job because of my background. I lied on a job application. Got a job at Hooters. Worked one day, called back up. Oh, Mr. Martin, we can't work for us no more because of your background. My background is long as making road. You know, making road, that thing is long. I've been going to jail since I was 15. You see what I'm saying? I had my baby at 15. You know what I'm saying? I've been through ups and downs. I'm from the South Side. I am a mixed product of that. Brian, my mother is white and my father is black, and I grew up without a father. So imagine growing up in the 80s and the 90s on the South Side without a father, being mixed, light skinned, good health. Got a white mama. Well, I'm broke just like you broke. My money is just like your money. We can pay a water bill, but that power bill short this month. We can pay the power bill next month, but that water bill gonna be short. Getting beat up and jumped on because I couldn't figure out why I fit in at because I look the way I look. And it's difficult.
Right.
But being a father is something that's very important to the black community.
Anybody can
I say
Go
something?
ahead. Go ahead.
And don't get mad. Women cannot raise men. Period.
Absolutely.
Say that one more time.
Women cannot raise men. And I don't care what nobody
Say it one
tries.
more time.
Absolutely.
Women cannot raise men.
Agreed.
You can try.
Disagree with that.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
And I'm gonna
first.
let him speak. He's not a pastor. I'm gonna let him speak.
Let him-
Women cannot raise men because men have to have that solid foundation
Okay.
to show them the way. Women can't show men everything. They can't. It's impossible. It's impossible for women to show a man how to be a man, because he'll end up being. He's not going to be the way that he's supposed to be designed. Men are designed to carry the mantle of their household. But these women are stepping up because we left the household. We left.
Absolutely.
I was raised by literally my mom. I was raised by my mom.
Right.
But I understood as I got older that my father was the missing piece, because I know I could have been even a greater man than I could have been today. But my mama, she raised us. She did what she did. But women cannot raise men. That's just facts.
I would have to agree with
Kevin, what would you about to say?
Yeah, I want him to
Kevin?
speak.
I totally disagree with that.
Okay, why?
For the simple fact that my mother believed in God,
you. Okay.
and she believed that God gave her all of the knowledge to raise my brother and I. I've never been to prison. I've never robbed anybody or done anything stupid, because my mother instilled in me how to treat people and how to go about getting respect and giving respect.
That's right.
So, yeah, in some cases, yeah, you need that man as a foundation. But a lot of times, when a woman knows that her back is against the wall, she's going to make sure that her children do what they need to do to come home safe every day.
Absolutely.
He's one success story out of.
But let me say this. I was raised without a father, but I did have strong man in my life who would pop in, right, when I needed them the most. Right now, what I hear you saying, Delonte, is that a woman cannot raise a boy, but she can show him and lead him in the direction
There you go.
to a man that can raise him the right way. Because let me tell you something. Every fatherless son, boy, grows up in this world with a hole inside of him, the size of his father. And what he will do, he will spend his life doing things that do not honor who he is as a man, selling drugs, doing this, his whole life, until another man comes into his life and shows him the right way. That's what I hear you saying.
You can't condemn every man to hell that's raised by a woman. I was raised by a single.
Of course, and that's not what you're saying.
Let me finish.
But that's
Hold on,
not what
give me
you're
a second,
saying, right?
give me a second. I was raised by a single mother. My mom worked sometimes 2-3 part-time jobs just to make sure I had shoes on my feet and clothes on my back.
Right.
That may have been Walmart shoes, and it may have been Payless shoes, and it may have been shirts from Kmart or Family Dollar. And yeah, I may have been that kid that was picked on every now and then, but that built character. I didn't have a hole in my body the size of my dad, because I decided to forgive my dad when I got to college. When God gave me the opportunity to be the first in my family to go to college, I knew this was a special opportunity for me to break the cycle of excuses that we constantly hear in our community about why we can't get our shit together. Excuse me. But there's no excuse about that. Brother, you said a lot of stuff, and I felt your passion, but I absolutely disagree with you. When you see graffiti on highway signs, they don't just say, fuck it, we just ain't gonna tell nobody where to get off on 185. We just gonna leave this painted sign up there. No, they change it. It's about investing in, you gotta fight for your stuff. You gotta be able to stand for your stuff, and someone gotta go in and show corrective behavior and be that example. Maybe it's a combination of Fix the Rec Center and put some mentoring programs in the community to show these guys, don't go here and paint over the center. As a matter of fact, I was in Columbus probably 2 years, and I got a group of guys together because we had a group of kids that just painted the facility over there in Bellwood, up there on North Mid-Veterans. And some guys came in that night and graffitied it all up. Guess what? We were not going to be defeated. This is not your community. We're trying to create a safe place for our kids. I get tired of people that don't pay no damn property tax to this my block. You don't own no block. The moment we get tired of that foolishness and get leaders together that'll pull together the most resources to go in there and clean it up, it may get ugly. But we can clean it up. But you got to be determined to clean up. Yes, it's going to get ugly. What in life has been simple?
Was the Civil War simple? No. When our father was out there fighting World War I's and II's, and the women were here making bullets and tanks and running the household, all the men was gone then, but America still stood.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give me no shit about no woman can't raise no man, because women have raised generation of men. We got to stop trying to down our women every chance we get and appreciate them for who they have been and who they are. Even all the way back to slavery, black women has been down by so many different groups. They're often the last group to get opportunities. Right now, my wife as a black doctor still don't fully get paid where people don't look like her get paid. Even though I still fight for her as her attorney and as her husband. We got to change the narrative, people. We got to stop making excuses. We got to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. We got to stop painting doom and gloom. I'm not saying run away from the past. Acknowledge the problem. But where's the solution? We got to be solution oriented. We got to be willing to step in and say, this is how we create this change. This is how we make it happen. But it begins with listening to everybody. I appreciate what you said. That's an interesting outlook. I've never heard that outlook before. Not from the angle you described it, but instantly I said to myself as I sat here listening to you, that cannot be the end of it. We cannot sit here and be happy with that. Okay, and so now we're definitely on the same accord. Because we know that there's some kind of way we have to create some kind of plan, and every plan is going to require resources. It's going to require people to come in and help make the difference and make the change.
That's it.
Victory Drive right now should be looking like International Drive in Orlando. This should be one of the most highly impacted economic areas in the city. But when you have people that zone shit that only go to North Columbus and keep businesses and deter companies from coming to this area, it's not going to grow. That's why you gotta be involved. That's why you gotta be engaged. That's why we need people who understand our community to be appointed to things like the zoning board, community development and advisory committee, the housing committee, the economic development committee. We need people to be appointed who know our community, and the only people who can do that are folks that know your community. Again, it goes back to, if the person you voted for don't know your community, they're not going to vote your best interest. And it's never going to happen that way.
Can I please say something?
Go ahead, Bishop.
Really, you said something very powerful. I like to address two things. The first thing is this. I told you at the beginning, my mama raised 16 kids by herself. Let me come to the defense of this, if I can say this. No man taught me how to be a man, except for my older brother and the deacons in the church. Now, everybody come from a different walk of life.
That's true. That's true.
We all don't come from the same walk. I understand your statement in reference to our community. Some of the things that we bring on ourselves are the peer pressure. Because I know what it was, you know, when cats in New York, that was regular, steal your Jordans and get you on the train. This was normal, the peer pressure of the have. But it's not an excuse still yet to do wrong. My mother raised me, she put some principles in me. There are certain things that I could not do and would not do. And if she couldn't beat me, she got somebody else who was going to beat me. Now, this is true. Now, on the impact of a man, I like what you said, attorney. You said that you had to break the cycle.
Right.
That's right. We all broke the cycle.
You understand? So my mother says it like this. She says, when a woman sit down to use the bathroom, to pee, they sit down. But a man stand up.
There you go. Okay.
That is what a man teaches another man. There, how to stand up. When God created us, He created man to dominate. That's why the systemic racism and the racism and all the slavery was to take the man out, because if the man was present in the house, certain things wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So you snatch the man out. It's a genocide. That's what's happening now. Through the welfare system, through the crack cocaine movement. Get the man now. 3 things that hurt a black man. When you ain't got no driver's license, when you pay a child support, and you got a felony.
That's it.
Those 3 things, you have to be an entrepreneur. You know, so I think in this narrative that we are looking at, we can't do away with one thing without adding on the other. So mothers, they played their role. We are example. Our generation is a great, we lived through that in the 60s where the mother had to be strong. The virtuous woman, the Proverbs 31, they had to get out there. They made that money. They fed us. They went 2 jobs. They did all that.
Right.
I never called a man daddy in my life. It's a sad thing, but tell you, I only remember my father because me and my brother was sleeping in the bed with him. He was too drunk, so my mother wouldn't let him sleep with her. And my brother peed in the bed, and I got to witness. That's the only memory that I have of a father. But what I had was a village.
Amen.
I had a Deacon Edmund in the church.
Amen.
I had a Pastor Reverend Holmes. That's why. See, we want to knock these things, but if the truth been told, and especially of this 60 generational people, we really had to learn how to grow.
Amen. Jarvis, what do you have to say about what we're talking about here?
I am disappointed that you ain't got one of my quotes on Facebook. I quote every single day, and none of my quotes are, come on. You got that, and Teddy don't even know how to post on Facebook.
You got double quote. We had talked about haters just dog.
Teddy don't even know how to post on Facebook. I quote every day, but everybody know I have 4 adult kids, and then I got married, and now it's 4 more, so that's 8. But you know, I talk about my kids all the time, man. And Riley knows it, but I honestly, I don't even have biological kids, and people didn't even know that. You know, I was raised by a man who didn't have biological kids, and I had a brother and 2 sisters. So then, when I got my first marriage, all those kids became my kids, and then when we divorced, I took care of them. When they got on to get cars, got cars. When they needed money, gave them money. When they entered college, anything, but nobody knew that they wasn't my biological kids. But it was important. I'm not going to discuss. I mean, can a woman turn a boy into a man? But you know, I knew it was important for me to be in their lives.
That's right.
You understand? And another thing is important for us guys. That you know, they say the men are the heads of the household. Like we the head of the city too. You know what I'm saying? The head. And so the kids get infatuated with the negativity that they see. Even if it's somebody getting killed, you know, kids are naive to that stuff. Even though they see people getting killed, they think it's not gonna be them. Yeah. So they see the negative, the gun toting and all that stuff. That's what they want to do because they don't see enough of us doing positive stuff. And not saying we don't do it, they just don't say it. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute, I don't know about a mother a woman can't raise a man.
Yes, please, go ahead, bro.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying.
Right.
Y'all are older generation. No disrespect. The older generation was taught different, was raised different morals, different integrity. It was different. Everything was different then. Now what we trying to establish, we're trying to get to the concrete of what can we do for the generation now with kids, of the how young parents are. These young mothers want to be their friends. We want to be their kids' friends.
They go to the club.
You see what I'm saying? They take club pictures when they're doing these TikTok twerk videos with their kids, and they got it in their brain is, well, it's not hurting anybody. They all right. That's the women of nowadays. Mothers are strong. Don't get it twisted at all.
Yep.
Big salute. If I can get more money I had, I would, but my wife won't trip. So big mothers, big salute. It's just a different era. It's a different era when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? So
That's true, but we got to find a way to break.
How to break that
We
cycle.
have to break the generational curses, and we have to break the generational trauma.
Like a lot of brothers in this room, I too was raised by a single mother.
We all
I didn't meet my dad until I was 17. My grandmother raised 5 very successful children by herself. And so I just take issues that, yes, a man should absolutely be in the house, But we can't say that women can't raise successful and strong men.
It's a difference. The reason why I say it's a difference is because of the lack of consequences when it comes from a woman to her son. When it comes to her son, is she'll put him on punishment for 2 weeks, but then in 2 days she'll let him off punishment because she's tired of seeing her baby more. Every time I went to jail, first person I'm calling, Mama, come get me. Please come get me. I can't call Ray Ray around the corner. Ray Ray ain't got no money for real, so I can't call my daddy. I only don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Can't call my uncle. He in jail with me. He went to jail with me. So I'm calling my mama.
Mr. Rook.
It's lack of consequences. Women, they soft. No disrespect.
But this is the generation he's talking about, and you're part of the older generation. What happened where the father stopped being in the home from your generation? What did you guys do, or did you do anything?
Well, I was raised. Well, I'm 53 years old, and I was raised with a mother and a father. So I was raised in that kind of like Mayberry kind of setting. But what I know is with the younger generation is a single mother, the easy generation, a single mother, I call it a single mother develop muscles in places where she shouldn't have to develop muscles. And what happens is a single mother has to work 50 hours a week.
Okay.
She has to change her own oil. She has to be the disciplinarian. She has to buy the groceries. She has to cook the groceries. And so a single mother has to do all these things. So now she's developing all these muscles where a man should be doing all this. Now the single mother is doing this. And so now when a man comes in the home, now she won't let a man be a man and do what he needs to do. When I married my wife, she had 4 kids. And she was a business owner already. And she was already doing this thing on her own. And so when I came in, talking about I'm cutting the grass, I'm gonna paint the house, I'm gonna do this. And she like, no, you're not. Because she had developed the muscles in all the places.
She could already do it by herself.
Right, she already thought that she could do it. And so, and that's problematic because now you have these kids. So now you're thinking, even though the dad's paying child support, you run the house. You run the whole kit, kat, and caboodle because these muscles that you had to develop. And so it's just a vicious cycle. So now, I've been knowing Skinny all his life. And he come from a line of strong women. But what happens is, and I'm not talking about Skinny, in general, but when you come from a line of strong women, most of them women never get married because they so darn strong. And they never let the man come in and cut the grass, change the oil because they say, you know what, I can do it on my own. And then you have the child support issue. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
so it's
sir.
like, you pay the child support, this my child. You can see him or her when I tell you. Again, here go that circle again. So now we're on that hamster wheel because the single mother has developed these muscles where she thinks she can do it on her own. My generation, Teddy, and Bishop and stuff like that. But seriously, our generation,
we in the same generation.
But the women were a little different. The women stayed if the man had another child. The women stayed if she was getting beat. The women stayed if the man was coming home drunk. And they stayed. These young, I call them Thundercats. They're not going to do it.
They got options.
These Thundercats have options. This young generation, they're not scared. They just not unified. But they're not scared of nothing. That's why they're using these thunder sticks. But they're just not unified. And so if we could redirect that energy.
That's right.
Because the generation above us, they were kind of scared of Mr. Charlie. You know who Mr. Charlie is.
Oh, yeah.
But this young generation, man, if we could unify these brothers, we could get these brothers, man, they're not scared of nothing. But what I worry about this young generation, they don't see value in each other. And so that's why it's so easy for them to kill something look just like them because they don't see no value other than the value they see in each other is on their feet. And that's our problem again, we on the wheel.
Hold on, Matthew, let me say one thing too.
Go ahead.
Is that my mom raised me and 3 other boys. And the reason why I say women cannot raise men is we are success stories because we're on the panel.
Absolutely.
But think about all the people that's in jail or dead. There's more people that's in a bad place. That's why I say that statement. It's not lined up. Yes, Gabe.
It's not so much
they can't.
You can't. Because that word can't.
I see what you're saying.
That's the wrong word.
Yeah.
That's just the wrong word. Let me tell you why it's the wrong word. If I can say, if I can be from a theologian perspective, if I can say it, right?
Keep it a little short, Bishop.
Very short. Men are made different.
That's right.
We're built different.
That's right.
Right, because the Bible considered to be the woman the weaker vessel.
That's right.
Not so much because they're less,
Okay.
because when you really look at from a biblical perspective, they're one.
Mm.
So wherever one is weak, the other is strong because you submit one to another. My point that I'm making is that men got to just be men
That's right.
because they can't be a woman. So it's no competition. And reference is all about people taking their proper order when it comes to life.
Yeah.
If I can say it like that.
Yeah.
So it's not a comparison about what a woman can't do, but if a man don't know his place,
That's right.
then it will cause a lot of disturbance when it comes in the family.
Right.
And let me follow
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bishop
Go
real
ahead.
quick with something.
Keep it short.
Tonight has been an illustration of why communication is key.
Absolutely.
And why words matter.
Absolutely.
Because where I understood every time what Delonte was coming from with his heartfelt comments,
Was the word
it was
can't.
his choice of words,
Right.
which led us
Absolutely.
into these arguments. Even the last one, he said, we're the success stories, but look at everybody else in jail.
Right.
There are some people in jail that came from married households,
That's true.
rich households, pastors, doctors, lawyers. There are people in jail from all categories. What we got to say is, as a matter of fact, we have to be careful with the way we shape things because nothing in society or in this world is 100%. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not even the condom y'all use sometimes, thinking that it's not going to make another child.
That's right.
Nothing is 100%. So we have to keep that in mind when we're having those conversations and what's transpiring in life and who may be offended by it and how that may throw the conversation off.
Right.
That's why we can't get nothing done in Washington, D.C., Delonte. That's why we can't get nothing done in Atlanta because we give the enemy who don't want us to progress the opportunity to hijack the conversation and the debate when we use words of definites and things of that nature, which we're trying to say something and you're kind of right what you're saying. I'm sure if we looked at the statistics, there would be a great number of brothers in jail from single mothers.
Right.
I see exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But that should be a cry for help in the way we should call it out. And that's why we try to quote numbers when we're talking so that we're exactly on point on what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Like when Skinny was talking about the budget and those other things.
Absolutely.
So the conversation has been great. But as brothers, let this be a lesson for us on why we have to be precise.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're saying what we're saying, even when we're talking to those Thundercats and Thunder
Thunderbugs.
we gotta be precise about what we're saying.
I agree with you, Ted. I agree.
Mr. Riley, you said that our young people do not see value in they don't see value in each other.
They don't.
Gavin, you are fairly young.
Mm-hmm. I'm 28.
Okay, and you
28.
okay. So tell me, how do we get our young people to see value in their peers?
So it's starting with the main word, that M word and that P word, morals and principles.
Mhm.
If the foundation isn't enriched enough to teach you certain morals and principles, your brain isn't going to be able to battle the agenda.
Mhm.
I'm assistant production director, but I'm a radio personality also. So we talking about the music, I play it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's songs where I'm in the car with my daughter, I'm changing the station.
Right, same, yeah.
There's certain stuff, promos and stuff that I know I put into the atmosphere, but she's not ready to battle that mentally
Right.
because she so we have to be able to teach them the right morals and continue to, I don't say drive it home, but that's what the key figure was as far as when we're talking about how we were being raised in the home, the different type of backgrounds, the difference in the generations. The difference in the generations is the lack of the morals. It's the lack of the principle.
Right.
It's not being taught.
Right.
So I'm listening to Super Gremlin. The perk was fake, but I still ate it. You know what I'm saying? That's practically suicide. I'm not upset with the song. I'm gonna probably pull off and listen to it. But my brain is conditioned for me to know this is entertainment.
Right.
There's an agenda with entertainment
and that's where the younger generation can't. They miss the mark on it because they don't have the right upbringing to battle.
Right.
They don't know. Yeah, Kodak Black said this, Quavo said this, but they also in bed at 10 o'clock at night, minding their business 1,000 miles from the next person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And even so, it also gets to a point where you see the lower level artists that are coming up who are actually doing what they're rapping. Majority of the time, they never make it big because they get locked up.
Right.
They end up in jail.
Ordeal.
So and they got lost in the sauce because they didn't understand this was entertainment.
Folks have contracts that people like me review, and they get paid a lot of good money to portray this image of what they're not.
I believe that.
What the bishop said earlier.
So
I believe that. So let me get two last questions because I know Skinny has to go. Sidney Poitier and Sister Lee Tyson were having a conversation, and what Sidney said to Miss Sissy, he said, I feel like my generation, now he's an older generation, I'm pretty sure nobody is close to his age. he said, I feel like my generation didn't give the younger generation enough to fight for. When I say that, what do you hear? Go ahead, Bishop.
If I can say this, the scripture says that old man shall dream dreams and young men shall have vision. We must understand that it's our job to leave legacy.
that's right.
What he was talking about is the fact that information is not passed on. It's like a loaded gun. And I think we did a poor job overall. I'm just saying overall.
You mean your generation?
Not so much. Well, my generation is different.
Okay.
I don't know when it turned,
Okay.
but like you said, you had a son at 15, right? I didn't have my first kid till I was 24.
Okay.
You know, and so that I think it just happened in the middle of that 40 down.
Yeah.
That 45 down, because that 45 up is different. It's we again because we were taught different. So my answer to what you're saying, maybe down the line we all have failed in some area. And what I mean by that, as far as passing on knowledge, like these kids with your what you call that thing. I like what you call it. Let's take them for instance.
Okay.
I saw some footage on some stuff in reference to some people that they showed. I don't want to give them credibility based on the name. But their thing was my block. They got AKs, 9s, their block. They get a thrill out of going to rob somebody.
That's right.
When Martin Luther King marched, so we don't have to get bit by dogs and Kimbo. That has not been really explained to this generation. That's why I was talking about going
Some
back.
of them don't even know who Emmett Till is, which bothers me a lot.
But this is what I'm saying, and this is what Sidney 48, I believe, is saying, is that we have to get back, and let's get finished, but I have to get back to passing on knowledge and information.
Right. Go ahead, Skip.
I just want to say this, and I'm going to get on out of here for the evening. It's been a beautiful conversation. One of the things I think about the generation, my generation, even the generation behind, is that nobody want to pay dues. Everybody want quick money, fast, right now. And so if you go into elementary schools and you ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a YouTuber. Or I want to be a basketball player. Or I want to be a football player. Well, who the hell is going to be the attorneys and the doctors and the plumber? But everybody see this life of luxury, this fast life, and they get quick money, and that's all they want. But it takes time to be successful. It takes time to grow and to build relationships and to build friendships and business deals and stuff take time. And we made it into our life. And I think social media has a big part to play.
Absolutely.
Is people get online and they see people living their best lives, and nobody ever put their sad moments on.
Did you say best life?
Yeah, they live their best life. They live their best.
Okay.
They living their best life on Facebook, and they traveling, and they showing their good relationship, and they showing everything positive, but they're not showing you the reality of the situation. They ain't showing you that, yeah, they smiling in the picture, but he knocking her over the head when they get done. They not showing you that, yeah, he might got that Ferrari, but he ain't rented but for a day. You know what I'm saying? We're not seeing the real thing. And so I think that our solution is based on something you said, Reverend, that we have to get back to truth. But we live in a false reality of social media and on, oh, what do these people think? And what these people think. But what are you doing for yourself? How are you making yourself better? And by making yourself better, you in turn will make a better community, which will in turn make a better city and a better state and a better country. And so I believe that it starts with us. And so I'm gonna head out, but I'm so glad to see so many friends.
Again, city council?
Never. But I'm so glad to see so many of my
Why not?
So
why not?
I feel like I got multiple roles I can play. Hopefully one day I'm able to support Teddy in a run for office.
Well, we're gonna
be for city council.
I won't be for city council, but yeah, I think I got a different role.
Since you talked over here, I feel obligated
Come
to
on
say
now.
something right
Come
now.
on now.
You know, I open up by saying we didn't get here overnight. These problems didn't start yesterday.
That's right.
I open up by saying we have had generations of neglect.
Right.
And in my opinion, to address and build upon what you were saying, Bishop, after the victories of the civil rights era in our community, we got caught celebrating too long.
Right.
Too many of our people celebrated too long.
Explain that.
What I mean by that is we took our eye off the ball of what Dr. Martin Luther King was pushing for, and we just assumed everything would be all right. Anybody who's been a part of process implementation, I have a master black belt on Lean Six Sigma.
Okay.
I know how to go in and implement processes in $1 million production areas, and what we do at the very end, once we implement, we monitor and assess. We forgot to monitor and assess. We forgot to keep our eye on what was transpiring, and every generation, things have gotten progressively worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So, Bishop, I think the blame lies with each generation. And you know, my brother here called me old. He's 36. I'm 41. But I was raised by some old souls, some country souls, some rural Georgia souls, in which our struggle hit a lot faster than the people in the inner city. Y'all had recreational centers. We had nothing. We had chickens to chase. You know what I'm saying? We had to go out there and cut wood for fire. We had to plant our own gardens. We were taught skills by the community, by the village, by the men, by the great uncles on how to survive, basic survival skills. Absolutely. If they cut off the water and the power in this city and we couldn't have our cell phone, folks would go crazy. We would not know what to do, how to do, and how to survive. So the problems that we have will not be fixed overnight. There isn't one solution. We almost need to come together as a people and create a strategic plan for our folks. How do we get this train back on the rails? And how do we get it moving together? But one thing we got to do is we got to roll together. We got to roll together. Because when we're rolling in different spaces, we're never going to get to where we're going. They say the rising tide floats all boats. I want to see everybody boat float. Not just one person, not just people in Green Island, not just folks who can live up there on County Line Road, you know, where the new rich black folk live now. You know, not up there, but I'm talking about everybody. Everybody. We can't forget about any parts of our community. And that's all I want to add, brother. This has been a great discussion. It's truly been an honor to sit here with each of you. One thing I promised my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather, who fought on foreign soil so that I could go to college. He's the veteran in our family. I promised them I would never neglect my community, no matter how far I got. I'm sure y'all don't see many attorneys in the community. There are some. They show up. My brother William Kendrick, you know, he shows up. My brother Ralston Jerry, he shows up. There are some of us that show up. There are some doctors that show up. But there aren't enough. There are too many of us that have gotten what we need on the shoulders of those that provided for us. We all stand on the shoulders of giants that came before us. They've gotten where they're needed. We don't see them anymore. They don't come back and contribute anymore.
Right.
And then you have some of us that show up, and then people don't want to accept us because they want to automatically label us as sellouts. I gotta prove myself because I got an education.
Right.
What kind of shit is that?
Right.
You know, I'm here, and I'm here to help,
That's it.
and I'm here to fight, and I'm here to contribute.
Amen.
And until we learn to work together, stop being judgmental of each other, stop tearing each other down. Oh, that little small program he got. But what you doing though?
Right. Right.
Stop trying to condemn what somebody else doing when you're not doing anything.
Absolutely.
Or he running for office. He know he not gonna win. Well, at least he's trying.
Right.
He's telling the community he want to serve with. What have you tried?
Right.
You know. So we gotta combat that negativity because it has been baked into the society here in Columbus. And I'm telling you that as somebody who moved here. I've been here now almost 10 years. I've had an opportunity to observe it all. This is my assessment.
Right.
We got to come back together. We need leadership. And just to show you how bad things are right now, who do you see lined up to follow some of these people that we have in the age of 70s and 80s that's currently holding some of these political seats? Point them out. That's just how bad we have tripped. That's just how far we are behind.